So police in Virginia recently arrested a man accused of killing 5 people, including his parents, and a Yale University Islamic law fellow's take on the story was that the real national emergency is armed white men. Let's take a look. Emily Jane Odell is quite the distinguished young lady. She has 5 degrees, yes, 5 degrees, all from Ivy League universities. She's an Islamic law fellow at Yale, and she's apparently spent over 2 decades of her life in academia. You might think all these accolades mean she's very smart, but if you've been watching Campus Unmasked, you know that when it comes to professors and academics, pragmatic insight is all too often substituted with progressive ideology. Emily recently responded to a white man's alleged murder spree by saying that the real national emergency is armed white men. Now, while whites do commit the most crime absolutely in America, that really isn't a shock. Whites are over 60% of the population. Proportionately, they do not commit the most crime. But this isn't just a one-off case for the Yale Scholar. After the Tree of Life synagogue massacre, Emily tweeted, "Should white men be required by law to attend re-education centers to help prevent mass shootings, not to mention widespread domestic violence?" Re-education. As though their whiteness imparts some kind of knowledge to them. Despite her numerous degrees, Emily seems not to understand that race is an immutable characteristic, not an ideology. You can call someone a white supremacist murderer, but being white is itself not a belief system. Speaking of ideological killers, I doubt the Islamic law scholar throws around the term radical Islamic terrorism too often. When she's not suggesting whiteness is responsible for murders, Emily muses about revolution, asking her followers if, when it comes, white men should suffer or should they be given a chance to reform? What should we do with all the old white men? And my 70-year-old female neighbor said we should shoot them. Guess there's a lot of anger about. The Yale fellow has called white women insufferable, wondered whether if she were a white man she would commit seppuku, or suicide by sword, said it's best to avoid white men as much as possible to stay alive, and asked how to rid our societies of this deadly threat. Now, these kinds of statements by academics about whites aren't exactly new. If you're longtime viewers of Campus Unmasked, you might remember former Drexel University professor George "All I Want for Christmas is White Genocide" Ciccarello Marr, who said the Las Vegas massacre is what happens when white people don't get what they want. I say former professor because George no longer works at Drexel. If you want to share your thoughts on Emily Jane Odell with Yale, here's the school's main line. The press office didn't even deign to respond to my email though, so don't get your hopes up on hearing back. For Campus Unmasked, I'm Rob Shimshock. If you like this video and support our mission, please make sure to comment and subscribe. If something happens on your campus and you'd like us to investigate, send us details using the form on campusunmasked.com.